Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I'm really excited to be playing my bird concert finally here in Bowling Green. The first piece on the program was Amy Beach's Hermit Thrush at Morn. It comes from a set of two pieces that she wrote while she was at residence at the McDowell Colony in, I believe it's New Hampshire. And as you heard, it also features transcriptions of hermit thrushes. I paired it with some recordings taken in Oregon by some friends of mine. And I thought the set of two pieces would be a really great fit for the program because the first piece, Hermit Thrush at Morn, alludes to the morning, kind of great way to start a program about birds. And the second piece, which will come at the end of the program, is Hermit Thrush at Eve. Up next is a special piece that was written for me by my friend Brad Balliet. Brad is a New York-based composer, bassoonist, and educator. And I originally met him at the Dakota Chamber Music Festival, I believe it was in 2022. And we hit it off because we both have a very large obsession for birds. So in 2023, I was on Long Island, and I got together with Brad for a day of birding. And it started out at Nickerson Beach, which this piece is named after. Nickerson Beach is a great place for birding. It hosts a lot of breeding birds, including piping plovers and American oyster catchers and black skimmers, as well as a large nesting colony of common terns. An interesting thing about Brad is when you go birding with him, he always carries this large scope around, even when you're in the forest. Scopes are kind of typically used to view birds that are far away, but he uses it to film them. He attaches his phone to the end of the scope and will get footage of the birds. It's a setup that I would, if I were doing it, would be very unpractical and would not yield very good results. But when Brad does it, the results are stunning. As you'll see, because we've paired this piece with a video. It's all his video. I believe not sure if all of it, but most of it was taken at Nickerson Beach. And the video corresponds with the species that Brad represents in the score. Enjoy Brad Balliet's Nickerson Beach. Thank you. Isn't that just spectacular? And it's all taken on an iPhone, I think. So, kind of impressive. I could never do that. Now I'm gonna play 3 pieces by French composers to kind of explore how different composers represented birds at different points in history. We'll start by going back about 300 years to 1724 and hear how Rameau represented birds. This it's called Le Rappel des Oiseaux, and it was originally written for harpsichord. It represents some undefined species of bird, and I've paired it with some of my favorite recordings that I took while I was in Switzerland last summer, namely Eurasian blackcap and garden warbler. These species are common throughout Europe, but I think their songs are really fun because they're just so bubbly, and I thought they would go well with this piece. Then we'll go to 1905 when Ravel wrote Oiseau Triste. This is a little bit more melancholy, and so I paired it with some recordings I thought were a little sadder. I paired it with Eurasian wren, European blackbird, which confusingly is in a different family than the blackbirds we have around here. It's actually a kind of thrush and fills a similar niche as the American robin does around here. And then I've also paired it with European robin recordings, which confusingly is not related to the American robin. It's an old world flycatcher, which is nothing similar to the flycatchers we have around here. It gets a little confusing, but you don't have to remember all of this because there's no quiz. Though I could create one if you wanted to. The thing about Le Rappel des Oiseaux, it's kind of similar to, it's similar to Le Rappel des Oiseaux. Oiseau Triste does not mimic a specific species of bird. It kind of mimics some undefined species again, but in the language of Ravel's Impressionism. We will end our exploration of French music with Olivier Messiaen. Messiaen is a really interesting composer. He's kind of thought as the first composer to specify specific species in his scores. I believe he transcribed over 350 species of birds, which is quite the accomplishment. But while he was the first to really transcribe birds so extensively, as we heard with Amy Beach earlier, that piece was written in 1921, he was not the first person to do this. This piece is about the Eurasian skylark, which is a really fun songbird in much of Europe. It is a small songbird that breeds in open habitats, and during the breeding season, it will perform these amazing flight displays where it'll fly up into the sky and sing for long periods of time. It's really pretty. I was in Greifswald, Germany last summer and got to experience some of this, and their songs are just non-stop sometimes. Messiaen often talked about how accurate his transcriptions are. This has been debated a lot by scholars, so I'll let you decide how close he gets to mimicking a skylark. You get to compare it to the ones I recorded last summer. So let's start out with Le Rappel des Oiseaux by Rameau. Now I'll be playing a piece that was written for me last year by Argentinian composer Julia Chira, with funding from the George and Marjorie Chandler Endowment at Lawrence University. This piece is about the upland sandpiper, which breeds throughout much of the Midwest and Great Plains in long grass prairie typically, and winters in Argentina. And we chose to write a piece about this species because through this migration route, it kind of connects Julia and me on different sides of the world. And we also wanted to highlight a species that has been impacted by the rapid decline of grassland habitats. The upland sandpiper has experienced population declines as well as a lot of other grassland species. The piece imagines the migration of an upland sandpiper from the US, probably somewhere in the Great Plains or maybe western Midwest, like Wisconsin, where I was living at the time, to its wintering grounds in South America, probably somewhere in Argentina. Julia, in Julia's work, she's really interested in deep listening, which is paying attention to our acoustic environment and trying to notice as many sounds as possible. I feel like as a birder, I notice this some. When I'm birding, I kind of tune out certain species that I hear over and over and over again. And I also tune out a lot of other sounds, like car noises and I don't know, people mowing their lawn. And I think it's valuable to notice these sounds sometimes. And so in this piece, Julia has included some long pauses and some very sparse textures. And so I encourage you, as you're listening to this piece, to try and notice if you can pay attention to our acoustic environment in here a little differently than you might otherwise listen. Obviously, you'll hear the piano, but you might notice some other noises, and maybe think about how that's going to influence your listening here. And also, listen to how the different pitches within the piece interact with each other. Here's Julia Chira's upland sandpiper, also known as batitu. now I'm going to play a work that I created. It pays homage to one of my favorite birding places when I lived or studied in Appleton, Wisconsin, known as the Booboltz Nature Preserve. Booboltz is a really fun place to bird, especially in late spring and early summer, so like right around now, because it is like a swampy forest and attracts a lot of singing birds, and in particular species that were hard to find elsewhere around Appleton. Some birds that I think of more breeding in boreal forests. They would breed further south, of course, too, but like winter wren and northern water thrush, and black and white warbler. So some species that were kind of on the very southern breeding range would breed there, and you could hear their singing. This work is inspired by the work of clarinetist David Rothenberg, who frequently goes out into some kind of landscape and improvises with bugs and other sounds from around him. He also has a series where he improvises with nightingales, and also brought his clarinet out on boats and improvised with whales. So obviously it's a little bit harder to get a piano out into a soundscape. Would be a little bit difficult to get out on a little dinghy to play with whales, though it would be fun to try maybe. But I've used a lot of my own field recordings to create a soundscape that I can bring here for you all. So here is a woodland soundscape. Now I'm super excited to premiere a new piece that was written for me this spring. You'll be the first to hear it, which is kind of exciting. It's by my friend and fellow Oregonian, Thomas Meinzen, who my brother and I have been working with for 7 years now. And we've released 2 EPs, the second of which, titled Skyward, came out last year. If you like this piece that I'll play, I recommend checking that out. It's all environmentally themed music written by Thomas for violin and piano, and one piece also has a clarinet on it. For one of the pieces on Skyward, Thomas started to experiment with having bird field recordings that were triggered by a foot pedal. And this allows for more flexibility and interplay between the performers and the field recordings. And Thomas has implemented this technique again for this piece. It's been a little bit of a learning curve for me because I typically play with a foot pedal that turns my pages on my iPad, but now I have a second one I have to control that controls the field recordings. So I have to keep track of where my foot is, which has been a little bit of a learning curve. I think I have it down by now, so fingers crossed. The piece is also about prairie ecosystems. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of birding in prairie and grasslands. You'll hear some of my own field recordings, as well as I believe one by Thomas. And I want to thank the Mid-American Center for Contemporary Music at Bowling Green State University for helping fund this commission. I hope you enjoy Remnants. We've reached the end of the program now. I want to thank, before I play the last piece, I would like to thank First Christian Church for hosting me. It's been really fun playing here. And also for Scott. Let's give him a round of applause. Also want to thank Scott and Steve for doing all the video and sound and all the technical stuff, which I can't do all by myself. It's been really fun finally playing my bird program for you all. I'm really excited. This is the first of 4 concerts I'm doing. The rest are in the state of Oregon, not Oregon, Ohio. Unfortunately, it won't be that easy to come see it again. But yes, if you know anyone in the Willamette Valley area in Oregon, you can let them know I'll be playing it again. And actually, Thomas is going to be at the concert I'm giving in West Lynn. So, and maybe if I can get him to come to some of the other ones, I'll try to get him to come. Anyways, if you want to keep up with my work, I have a newsletter, which if you scroll to the very bottom of your program, you can put your email in if you want to sign up for that. I send out something. My goal is 4 times a year. It might be less, so approximately every 3 months, 4 months, maybe it's 2 months. I'm not keeping that close track at this point, but I always like to include a little bit about what I'm doing musically. You'll get some recordings, you'll get some bird photos, some updates about some bird stuff I'm doing, some field recordings if you want to check that out. So if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, you're welcome to sign up for that. Also, I think there was a special offering somewhere, so if you want to contribute to that, I will appreciate that, but no worries if you are tight on money right now. I'm a student, so I understand. Also want to make sure I say that I'm giving a bird walk right after this, well, kind of right after this. So that's going to be at my favorite birding spot in Bowling Green, Winter Garden. That is going to be, I'm hoping probably we'll get there 5:40 is my hope. So approximately around 5:40. I think if you want to hang out here, there'll probably be some socializing too. So if you want to come to that, you have something? Oh, we have refreshments. Even more reason to hang around, I think. You can't go wrong with some refreshments. So what I'll do is before we head over, we'll make a little announcement. If you want to come to that, so maybe just go get some refreshments and hang out here, and then we'll caravan to Winter Garden. We'll meet at the the Nature Center parking lot. I always go to a different parking lot because I bike, but we'll go meet there. If you want to go for a short bird, or probably go for about an hour is my thinking. It'll depend a little bit on what everyone wants to do. If you don't want to come to that and you want to still talk to me, I'll be around afterwards as well. Anyways, I think we should just end the program with Amy Beach's Hermit Thrush at Eve. Enjoy.